RPG for You and Me presents Neon Heat, an actual play duet podcast using the Savage Worlds system and our custom cyber fantasy setting. It's been a labor of love creating it for the past several years, and we hope you enjoy.
Previously on Neon Heat, Athena battles within her mind, past and present, to root out what's been locked away by Silas. After the long and tiring ordeal, Athena scrapes by with the help of her team, only to find out that the presence in her mind was Benicia Olivier, Strickland's lieutenant, who she killed weeks prior. Athena extends an olive branch to Benicia before she's unexpectedly ripped from Athena's mind and displaced into a crystal husk by Silas and Zadal. She's pulled out of her brainscape and relays what she now knows to her team, and prepares to see how Benicia has fared with her unexpected transfer.
So Athena had been basically ready to jump on in with the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we're picking up. Continuing with the theme of mental scapes, I just want to talk about what Athena's frame of mind is. How does she feel? What are her goals? What's Athena's vibe right now?
I think, weirdly enough, Athena's vibe is probably the best it's been for the whole season, if we're stepping out real quick, because she has gained information. She now knows what was done to her brain was not inherently malicious, so she was really worried about that, and she's got her team with her to do some stuff, and even though Silas is still like, I don't know, morally gray maybe, she's not sure on that one yet. She feels good, tired, but good, and she's gonna do her very best to help this person who she apparently trapped inside her head for lifetimes.
Gotcha.
Because she's been alone, and she doesn't want anybody else to have to be.
Very commendable.
Helping people and protecting people is why she became a regulator in the first place, and she really lost sight of that for a while. But I think she's suddenly snapped back into her life track, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Took something weird to do it, but...
So, Athena, when you come to, when the darkness parts and you find yourself snapping into the scene, you find yourself standing in the hallway of what looks like either an apartment building or maybe a hotel. The halls are narrow, the doors are evenly spaced, the air is musty. Maybe it doesn't smell like it gets cleaned very often. Sterile tones. Everything's probably made to cut cost, as cheap as possible. And there is a dull yellow light coming from the ceiling above you. No windows here, so it's just sort of a washed out yellow in this hall. And Silas and Zadal are standing several feet ahead of you, right outside one apartment door.
Athena shakes her head a little bit because she's still not quite used to, going into brains.
On that note, make me a spirit roll.
Spirit roll? 7.
You're doing good. You're
Cool.
It's weird and you're not quite used to it, but it doesn't shock you the same way it used to. You're able to get
Gotcha.
your bearings pretty quickly.
That's good.
I think Zadal catches sight of you first and lifts a small hand to say hello. And he's dressed as he always is, especially as this is his mental projection. So he's wearing his long coat, blue circuitry poking through at spots, and he acknowledges you. Silas is standing behind him, staring at the door. Silas's tones are all black and gray. His longer hair, glasses, one gray eye, one black eye, cat-slitted pupils, long robe-like clothing.
I think Athena puts a hand on a hip. Is she in there?
Silas glances over at you and quirks an eyebrow before looking back at the door, and he's got a hand on his chin in thought, and Zadal nods and says, yeah, she's holed up in there, you know. She's still pretty spooked.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, you wanna try to convince her to let us in?
Yeah.
We haven't really done too much yet, because I didn't, given everything that happened and what you just said, we should probably try to, take it easy.
I think that would be best. And Athena walks over to the door and just knocks very softly.
Silas takes a step back to allow you room and motions a hand out, sort of like, as you wish, if you please, give it a shot. And his face is set in thought. His brows are perpetually scrunched together in thought as he's thinking through the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So you knock on the door.
Benicia, are you in there?
Back again so soon.
Oh, so soon? That's good. It wasn't a while, right?
It is, unless you're here to try and expunge me.
That's not my plan whatsoever. So, can I come in?
Make me just a persuade.
9.
There's a pause. And then the door clicks and opens in just a little bit, but no response.
She puts a hand up for the other two, just to... I'll ask when I'm inside.
Silas shrugs and waves a hand towards the door, and Zadal gives you a nod.
We're house guests. And she enters.
Silas rolls his eyes at that. You enter. It is a swanky-looking penthouse.
Oh, swanky.
Yeah, it's lavishly furnished. A lot of leathers, blacks and browns, the same red motif that you saw both in her color scheme and at Strickland's way back when. A lot of reds, some faint gold trim. Everything's really shiny, polished even. There's a fully loaded bar, glasses hanging from the ceiling, any kind of alcohol you could imagine, just stacked in bottles along a shelf. A lot of ornamental items that very clearly either art, just decorative in nature, just scattered around. Ornate is a good word. It's a long room as opposed to a wide room, and Benicia is seated at the very far end in a swinging lounge chair.
Swinging, like from the ceiling?
It's dangling from the ceiling by these very simple looking chains, and it's drifting back and forth, and there's a very large roaring fireplace. Benicia is caught in the flickering yellow and orange light. Her arm dangles off the edge of the lounge holding a wine glass that has some amount of liquid in it, and she's just sprawled lengthwise, one leg over the end.
Looks like you've settled in quite nicely. I'm really sorry. I didn't know they were gonna grab you so fast.
You're walking in the hallway?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's advancing in, but like not like threateningly.
So you walk in, and she waves an airy hand and says, I don't know that I would have been able to stop them even if I wanted to.
I might have been able to do more or something if I had been more aware of what the plan was, but no plans, apparently. Not really. This is kind of uncharted territory.
Yes, you're telling me.
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 of you and only 1 of me, so I don't figure my chances are any better here than they were before.
Well, they don't have to come in unless you want them to.
Well, I quite like this arrangement for now.
Okay.
As much as one could expect. So what do you want? What do you want now? I'm out of your head. You kept me alive, so I'm sure I could be of some sort of use to you.
They're kind of looking for information. I mainly just came to make sure you were all right.
She laughs at that and takes a drink of the wine, well, maybe spilling just a little bit down her cheek because she's lounging. Well, I'm better than I've been in a long time, I can tell you that much. At least I have some control here.
That's good.
Yes, and I don't seem to be dead yet, so I'd like to continue going in that direction, if at all possible.
I'm going to make sure that you don't... I think she takes a second and just kind of shakes her head like she's just trying to work through an emotion that she did not expect.
Where are you standing now, Athena, in relation to where she is?
Maybe between the fireplace and the the swingy bench.
So at this point, if you've now made your way over there during conversation, you notice that Benisha's hair is now like a gray white, and so are her eyes. Everything else is the same. Still ochre skin, still got freckles on her face. The red satin of her dress is a little bit more faded than it was. You have questions. You may ask them. Can't expect you here for my company.
I mean, why not? Apparently we've been in the same body for a while and might as well get to know you. Unless you find me insufferable, in which case I can leave.
She gives you a bit of a glare before rolling her eyes, and she says, well, I don't know quite how to process all of these emotions either. I'm not sure that insufferable is the correct term for someone who has plunged a blade into your chest and incarcerated you by mistake.
Yep.
But, and I think her head twitches just a little bit, and she reaches a hand up and just, rubs at her temples.
How long has it been for you in here?
In this room here.
Yes?
Minutes, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
Yes, it would be quite unfortunate if the situation were to repeat itself so soon.
Could my my coworkers come on in?
I don't know that I could stop them if I wanted to.
But it's polite to ask permission.
I'm flattered that you would ask for such a trivial thing. Yes, they may come in.
Okay, I feel like they probably heard that. Maybe, did they?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Because they're brain boys.
Possibly, yeah. I think the door opens on its own and Silas strides in first, taking long, purposeful steps, followed by Zadal, who shuffles more leisurely, hands in his pockets. The door shuts itself.
Oh, nice. Man, brains.
They pause several feet away, and Silas looks between you and Benisha on the lounge and quirks an eyebrow at you and says, May I?
May you?
What are we doing here, Athena?
Asking questions.
Then please, by all means, continue.
So you worked with Strickland for how long?
I wasn't with him for too long. Maybe 2 months, 3 months.
Would you say the world's better off without him? Was he secretly funding some kind of underground orphanage I wasn't aware of when I did my research? Or was he actually a huge piece of shit like I thought?
She begins to open her mouth when you say underground, and then you finish with orphanage, and she closes again.
We can expand on underground if you want.
He was certainly involved with many illicit dealings. I'm sure you know about the drug trade.
Yeah, that's one I knew about. What else? Besides slaves.
Yes, all the normal sorts of vices, I suppose. Gambling, hedonism, in whatever form you want to call it.
Tacky decoration.
She shrugs and inclines her head. But, in answer to your question, do I think the world is better off without him? Or do I think the world would be better with him still here? From what I know, no great loss. A man of charisma and power, influence to be sure, but manipulative, cruel, greedy, sadistic at times. Not the normal characteristics that one would look for in the average being.
She nods to herself like, okay, I did that thing right, at least.
And she nods.
So, AleraCorp loaned you out to Strickland to facilitate? What were you exactly facilitating?
I think part of this should be some sort of social task. I'm going to ask you to make a persuasion roll this first time. This one, I think, no penalties, just because it's a pretty straightforward question.
9.
You ask her that, and she closes her eyes and shakes her head just a little bit, sort of like an irritation. Something pains her for just a moment, but she pushes through it and opens her eyes again and says, Yes, I suppose you could call me an administrator. In reality, I'm more of an infiltrator. I was assigned to work for Strickland by AleraCorp, but this was not known to Dietrich Strickland.
Oh.
Yes, I applied for his position through normal channels, and then, when I was hired, I was considered his employee, but, of course, still working behind the scenes.
So what were you working towards?
Control, observation. Strickland is was a ruthless businessman. Do you know that old saying about keeping your enemies close?
I do.
She inclines her head.
I mean, was he encroaching on AlariCorp's interests? Was that the only reason? Or was he just gaining traction too fast and that made them uncomfortable?
I believe it was the latter, more than the former. But you never know.
You never know.
The political landscape and the general idea of how everything has been cobbled together, especially in the last several decades, it is fragile, it is always in motion. It is never as concrete as it appears on the surface. AlariCorp knows this, and so they wish to retain their holdings. If any of you would like a drink, please feel free. The bar is fully stocked.
Thank you. I probably shouldn't have had a long day.
Zadal says, I don't know what taste is, so I'm just sort of...
being a polite guest.
Yeah.
So, AlariCorp has a pretty substantial holding in Caldonics.
Yes.
Is there anything going on down there we should know about?
Undoubtedly, yes. However, I don't think that I am the one who would be able to inform you about that, as I was not assigned there.
Do you have any inklings? Is it just, are they just trying to, gain traction, gain ground?
She nods to that and points to Silas a little bit and says, this one is the Oculus. He should be able to tell you better than most of, everyone has pawns moving behind the scenes. Yes, of course, AlariCorp has a heavily vested interest in Caldonics, and the more they can push, the more power they can take. They will.
They will?
Make no mistake. Of course they will. Why would they not? Do you think a corporation run by profits and power would give up that power for the sake of comfort of others, when they could better their own lives, line their own pockets?
I can't think that they would.
Of course not. And most employees, most of the ones dancing from their puppet strings, they are looking for a better life. So, I'm sure you can't fault them either.
Were you looking for a better life? Were you just trying to line your pockets as well?
Now we're going to get a bit philosophical. If you're asking me what my designs are, what I value in life, that is different. No, not money, but I wanted to make a difference.
What kind of a difference?
The kind that I would be respected for. Accolades, recognition. Of course, I wanted to make my sister proud.
Your sister?
Yes, my sister, Suzette.
Gotcha. I think Athena takes a second to very carefully consider how to proceed. Can you tell me a little bit about your sister?
What is there to tell? What are you looking for?
Don't know anything. I don't know anything about her.
Well, she is in the employ of AlariCorp. She was my direct supervisor at the time. I imagine that not much has changed if it has truly been only several weeks.
It has been.
And she purses her lips, but has a 1,000-yard stare at the ceiling as she sways back and forth. She is ambitious. She can be kind when she wants to be, but, like many, overlooks important things to get what she wants.
Important things?
You're trying to convince her to go into further detail.
Yeah.
That's going to be a persuasion
Okay.
at -4.
I feel like that's important, though. I'll spend a penny. I'll try it again. Same thing.
She looks back to you and nods and says, yes, important things. Use your imagination.
Birthdays?
She shakes her head and sighs, but does not respond.
Athena shrugs. It was worth a shot.
I know she is stationed here in Caldonics. She moves around, whether it's between the surface and down here, different settlements. She's a chief facilitator.
A chief infiltrator?
Once you work your way up to a certain point, you don't need to undertake certain assignments that you do not wish to. Suzette has moved beyond that stage of her career, I believe.
So she's more in delegating.
Yes, you might call her a spy master.
Oh, good.
Information, infiltration, sabotage.
Assassination?
One corner of her mouth tugs up just a little bit and she says, when the need arises, I suppose so, yes. Although, AlariCorp is a corporation. It is a business. Blood is bad business, unless you can spill blood very far away. When the people see blood, they don't like that.
Or if you redirect the people to think the blood was spilled by someone else, maybe.
Perhaps, but she shrugs. Usually just better if there isn't any. Keep things quiet.
When we were in my head, you had a lot of purple on you. And that had never happened before?
She looks around at the room, which is absent of purple, and she says, "It had never happened before. While I was alive, I suppose I'm technically still alive, so I don't know. This is becoming a bit strange. When I had a body, I had never experienced anything quite like that." She shakes her head again before continuing. There was another presence, but it wasn't. It was strange, as if it were alive, but it was different. But animalistic, not intelligent. It had desires, like an id. Pure id. And it was hostile at first, but having to coexist in the same space, I couldn't fight it off forever, and then it disappeared, or things became strange. I don't know. It is. And I think at this point she shakes her head a little bit and trails off, and then doesn't continue talking.
Athena looks back at Sadal and Silas. Like, that's pretty weird, right? She doesn't say that out loud.
I want to say they're both standing there with one hand on a chin, holding their elbow with the other one, and they both look up at you at the same time. Nods of acknowledgement, like, yeah, that's kind of weird.
And you'd never felt that before?
No, I hadn't. I don't. It became harder to concentrate at a certain point. I don't feel that way now, though.
No, that's good.
She nods. I don't feel it anywhere.
Well, this crystal we have you in is super purple on the outside. Kind of thought it might have been red, because, you know, your whole deal. And she waves a hand out at the room and her dress, and
she does now have those gold bangles on her arm again. What? It's... And she twirls a hand in the air and says, "It's luxurious. And I think it looks nice on me."
I agree.
Yes, thank you.
Can I play an adventure card?
Sure.
It's get a clue.
Oh, God. Can you read it?
Wait, I've got an idea. Play this card for a clue from the Game Master for some advice or a hint on how to resolve a current predicament or problem.
How to resolve it.
Or
Killer.
just no!
Bam, Dunsky.
It's a bad clue.
Oh, well. Sorry. All right. Could you give me an idea of, like, what direction you want this to proceed in? And I can help you facilitate that in a meta capacity.
I want good info about the purple, if that's available.
Meaning just, like, any information?
Any info.
Okay. Okay, I can certainly point you in that direction. You know, you've definitely noticed that she's been having some sort of head pains. So that's something that is probably worth investigating. Stuff about purple, the leads that you could follow would be everything that you know relating to purple. So what do you know? Who do you know for sure is directly connected to it?
Olivier, right?
Olivier.
Nima.
Nima.
We thought Athena, but whoever tried to assassinate Silas.
I mean, I think those are realistically, like, the only solid leads that you have at this point.
So you seem to know the Oculus here. Do you know who tried to kill him? Was that one of your facilitators?
She shakes her head at that. Well, I only know who he is because he's one of the most powerful individuals in the city, and I have been here before. Working in information, it is good to know within what confines you need to work. Perhaps not opposition, but the power players. As to your other question, no, I do not know who has been trying to kill him. Although, organized by Suzette? Perhaps. Who can say?
I'd say it's a safe bet at this point.
I think she looks over to Silas then and said, Did you ever offend my sister in any way? And he shakes his head, looks between you two. If I'm being honest, I don't believe I've ever even spoken to her. Maybe even been in the same room as her.
Did she take offense easily?
I think there's something between wistful and nostalgic.
Oh.
I don't know. She little smile at the corner of her mouth and says, "You have no idea."
Oh, yeah?
And I think she has that same smile but doesn't respond.
Persuasion.
If you want to try to wheedle it out, you can. It's up to you.
I want to try and roll persuasion if I may.
Okay. What are you saying to her? Like, how are you trying to coax this additional information out?
I feel like she's just smiling in a very engaged way, like, 'cause she loves that gossip.
Okay.
No, nothing. I tried. Not very hard.
Yeah, if you try to get a little bit more out of her and she just rolls her eyes and takes a sip of her wine.
Athena shrugs and continues. What do you know about Darius Sedella?
Darius Sedella, he is the curator. He is the head for the Nixian division. Works in the mines with Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Seat on the council. Your grandfather.
So you do know who I am?
Oh yes, I know who you are.
I mean, I kind of figured because, we were brain buddies for a while there.
Her mouth tightens a little bit at that. Just part of the job to know who is connected to whom. After all, your family had a hand in Oleocorp for many years. At least in some small way.
Oh, but I look so different now. How could you even tell it's me? My hair is so long, my face so scarred. Basically, a mask. She shrugs.
Well, I won't pretend it's not a surprise to see you turn up after so long.
Could Athena try and look at her with empathy?
With empathy, sure.
Because of the head pains and whatnot? Maybe there's something she can glean?
Sure, go ahead.
11.
11 is a success with a raise. You cast empathy on her. Benisha's aura it's a bit different than everything you've seen because this is a pure separation of body and mind, right? Athena is linked. The empathy ability is more about seeing someone's natural Corey energy and sort of how it's reflecting their emotion, right? And we've extended that a bit to a couple of story-related items for flavor purposes. So the trappings of Athena's empathy power are reading the auras of other creatures. And that's not always biological because, Arrow aren't biological creatures either, but it's more the spirit essence or who they are. So I think, although you don't have psionics, it would apply in this circumstance because Benisha is still a being, with thought and feeling, even if she is missing a body.
Well, what are you gonna do about that?
Where'd I leave that thing?
Dang.
Always gets lost. So looking at her now, the aura it's very slow and lethargic, and it spills out. It's slow, but it's also sporadic. It spirals in a slow way like Zadal's smoke does, but then very occasionally it'll sort of skitter and skip, and you'll see the pattern shift.
Like black and white tones like her mom's?
Mostly, yes. There are a couple of streaks of purple that appear in it every so often, but it doesn't remind you of what you saw when you looked at Troya or the other people.
Maybe it's just residuals at this point.
Maybe, but that's what you see. So emotional state-wise, she's just really tired and very fragile.
Which is why Athena is not pushing too hard on any one thing. I think she does ask after she's looked at that. Are you alright? You keep shaking your head. I didn't think you could get a headache in your own brainscape. She kind of says out of the side of her mouth because she doesn't really, this is all really weird.
Out of the side of your brainscape. Mind is essentially all that there is here. So it is not a biological function, but my mind is fatigued and hurts, yes. Things a bit scattered still. Pieces are missing, but I don't know. Alright. It's Zadal that speaks up then, and he says, "Sorry to cut in you. Yeah, your mind's sort of a mess. Like you got a bunch of holes punched in it, like you took a piece of paper and took a pen and just went...
I think she looks down at him with a slight grimace.
Yeah, hi, Zidol. Sorry, glad you're not a big spooky bug anymore. Which I don't think she responds to. Well, yes, my mind does hurt quite substantially, so I'm having difficulty focusing.
Did you know that your hair and your eyes kind of changed color there?
My what?
Your hair and your eyes? She gestures at them.
She pushes herself up on one elbow to look at you and I think sees your expression and that you're not messing around or anything. And then the dangling lounge straightens end over end and she just steps gracefully off of it and waves a hand, and a giant full-length mirror appears out of nowhere in front of all of you and swivels until it's levitating right in front of her. And she takes a few steps closer and is examining her reflection, puts a hand out to the mirror. I don't understand.
It's probably linked to the trauma of getting you here out of my brain. Something pretty similar happened to my mom. So that's the only... And she kind of yanks a thumb back towards Silas. And it doesn't always happen in a full sweep, but stress, I guess, to put it lightly.
And she's looking at herself. She's going through the full range of now examining her entire face. So she's pulling her lips back to look at her teeth.
Right.
Pulling down the skin by her eye. Sticks a finger in her ear. Just making sure everything else looks correct. And her hair is shorter and sort of a side swoop cut. The front is shorter, but the back is bound up in a bun. And she leans around the mirror and looks back to Silas as you do that. Oh, yes, well, it does look like he's been through the ringer as well. Someone poking around in your head, too?
Athena coughs.
Silas looks to you two and just gives a, can you believe this sort of expression.
Athena tries to make a placating gesture with her hands, but doesn't know how well or genuine it's coming across in this moment.
Venetia straightens up and you see her eyes narrow in concentration. She's looking at the mirror, so she's staring at the mirror and just sort of quivering in concentration. You see just the tiniest trickle of red fall from one of her nostrils and she goes,
Oh shit, are you okay?
She collapses forward towards the mirror and grabs it with one hand, and it's dangling in midair, so it sort of sucks some of her weight as she's leaning forward. And she takes a couple of deep, steadying breaths and then feels the wetness and comes away with a red hand and says, yes, I was trying to alter my appearance. Doesn't seem like I can control it very well.
I'd just take a breather on that.
And she does take a deep breath, but nods and pinches the bridge of her nose.
I think Athena's fidgeting with her fingers again. She hasn't done that in a while, but she just is very stressed out right now.
When she's straightening back up and she's wiping at her nose, her head twitches again and she shakes it and she looks back at you, Athena, with a very quizzical expression and she says, did you chase me in a wingsuit? Did that happen?
I didn't chase you, but I chased somebody with purple eyes in a wingsuit.
She blinks and rubs at her eyes. I don't know what you mean.
Fuck. I think she just lets that hang for a sec while she's trying to think through this next thought, which would be faster if it hadn't been such a long fucking day.
Yeah. As a reminder to everyone, this has been one night since Athena left the Lotus. Venetia goes and collapses back into the swinging lounge.
So you don't know why there's purple, but there's purple in your brain, and it's linking you to other people with purple eyes, which is very interesting. I think she shrugs and turns back to Silas and Zadal, and I don't know what to do with that, but that's something, right?
I think the other two nod. Athena, make me a smarts roll.
This is the third time I've rolled a 3 and a 1 on these exact same dice in a row.
Set them aside for now.
I'm gonna bend that one and try different dice. Are you fucking kidding me? Another 1 and a 3?
Well, it's consistency, if nothing else.
Fuck it.
It's Silas who speaks up, and he says, you think she was connected to Nima?
I mean, I did chase Nima in a wingsuit mere hours ago.
That's true. It seems like too much of a coincidence.
It does.
Could that mean But if she was inside your head, how could that be?
What?
If, and he points to Benicia, if she was still present in your mind, and she had been walled away, and I know I put those petitions up quite well, thank you.
Wasn't gonna take a shot at your workmanship.
I should hope not. But I say that factually. I know I put them up solidly, so the chance for interference was quite small, and we would have known about it.
I mean, maybe it's like a data delay, right? Like, you go someplace with an internet connection, and then you leave it, and then when you come back, you have a million emails, and you gotta answer them all. I think she's a little stressed out about that, even though she hasn't been on the Pantheon email server in a long time.
Well, I think it works a bit different for us down here. We don't have quite that same level of connectivity.
But here's the thing, if she was in my brain and she was in a Wi-Fi free zone for 3 weeks, and then she gets hooked back up to her purple fiber network, she might have some residual shit that comes flowing back in.
It's possible. It is Corey energy. Who's to say? And she doesn't know anything about other connections. Others with this purple energy.
I don't know, do you? And she turns to Benicia.
Benicia looks up and says, "Did you say Nima?
Yeah.
Rotu Nima?"
And I think she looks over her shoulder. I didn't know Nima's.
I think Zadal would nod.
Okay.
Say, yeah, that's her family name, Rotu.
Gotcha.
One of the Nikir families. And,
Okay. Then yes, it was Rotu Nima.
I think that gets a long exhale from Benicia. Just sort of a ragged, and then a swallow. And she turns and walks back to the fire and just sort of has her arms clutched at herself, but not in a desperate way, just in a thinking way as she looks into the fire.
I think Athena would walk over to the fire, look like she's pondering as well, but she's just on the edge of her non-seat, just like waiting.
Nima was with Oleracorp.
She was?
Yes, she was an infiltrator.
Was she... What was she supposed to be doing?
Reconnaissance? Surveillance, I assume. It is rare that we are expected to act unless she turns around and shrugs, holds her hands out. Unless our job is complete and they want to reassign us, then we either pull out or act and fall back. I knew she was from Keldonics. That's about it. I believe she worked for my sister. Another agent. Another spider on the web.
Do you know anybody else that works for your sister? In the city that I might want to know about? Because people are dying, and I need to stop it. As she says that, she turns to look at her, and the firelight is just flickering in her eyes a little bit.
Athena says?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Benicia does her best to focus and remember, squints her eyes, looks into the fire. There's another flash of pain, and she touches her head and grits her teeth and says, I don't have contact with many of the other agents unless you're working together on something. Usually advisable to keep them separate.
Uh-huh.
I know there was one other name that she passed by me before. It was, Suraski?
Swarovski?
Suraski. I think that's it. She was... I don't even know who or what they were, but I believe they were working with one of the other factions within the city. Maybe the ones who fight in the tunnels.
The Cassians? Oh, God.
Maybe. Perhaps.
I think she turns very worriedly to the boys, because the implications of that are extremely bad. If one of those tunnels doesn't close, is that realization lost on them? Does she have to vocalize that?
Nope. You look over at the other two, and Zadal is still staring into the fire, listening, but Silas looks up immediately and locks eyes with you. This does warrant looking into, Athena.
Yeah, immediately.
Seems advisable.
Fuck. She just fought a brain kaida today. She doesn't want to fight a whole bunch of them.
Sure.
Or have them loose in the city. God. I think she gets a lot more fidgety after that. She's trying to think of any other questions. Swarovski? And anybody else?
That's all I can remember. Undoubtedly there could be more. I don't know how expansive her network is now. I don't know what kind of resources they give her to work with. It's difficult to say.
Oh, I'd assume they're substantial. It's Alara Corp.
She inclines her head to the side. That might be true, especially in some cases, but don't let resources fool you. They are a large corporation, but the partnership with Sato Novi is one of convenience, one of mutual benefit, but of course they do not trust Sato Novi, so just as much intelligence goes into keeping them close but at arm's length.
Well, I don't think anybody really trusts Sato Novi.
They would be wise not to. Just like politics and news, their desires seem to change on a whim. But Alara Corp is not all-powerful. They can certainly bring resources to bear, and I would doubt that any one branch of their business is aware of what all the others are doing, so there is some measure of organization, but it is full of ambitious cutthroats who would do nearly anything to reach the top, because that's how it works. So you might be able to use that against them.
So Galassi Zadar, his throne is tenuous?
I think she gives you something between mischievous and self-satisfied smirk. I would say that. His family has been in power for some years now. Things have changed hands over time. It's somewhat dynastic when they have a stranglehold, but they don't have the power they used to.
Why is that?
She takes a sip of her wine and paces a little bit back and forth in front of the fireplace.
I assume it's a red.
It is a red, yeah. In an organization such as Alara Corp, in order to retain power, you must do so with force, guile, intelligence. You must have a circle of firm allies who are willing to support you, willing to acknowledge that you are the leader, and trust that they will only try to betray you sparingly and when they believe they can get away with it. So, Galassi Zadar has become fat and lazy, and his family has controlled the majority stake for many years, but that is not likely to change, especially given that the city, civilization in general, has become more stable. There was a time when the Zadars were able to take power due to outside influence, support in the wastes.
What kind of support? War bands?
She turns back to you and arches an eyebrow and says, yes, war bands. The roving nomadic tribes on the surface. Even 70 years ago, 60, 70 years ago, the surface was a bloodbath. There were pockets of civilization, but vying for resources, it had only just begun to become habitable on the surface again. It was easy to kill others and take what they had rather than trying to build. But enough came out of hiding, enough made themselves known that they were trying to use the old world's resources to build things back up.
Like Alara.
Alara is the result of those exercises.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do so on their own. There was outside interference, as I mentioned, the nomadic tribes, the advanced technology of subterranean civilizations.
Yep.
And she inclines her head in the direction of all three of you. Make a common knowledge roll. This is a good chance for... So, before you make the roll, I will give you a +2 on this roll because of Athena's circumstances surrounding this.
Gotcha. 7.
7 is a success. Athena, you know from what you learned in school, and probably from just hearsay, maybe some family connections, things that you heard just as a kid, and what you know of the city's history, is that about 50 to 60 years ago, Caldonix was at a point where it needed outside help to remain habitable and sustainable. So a number of different groups were sent up to the surface and deeper into the tunnels to try to scrounge for resources and see if you guys found anybody else that could help you.
Right.
And the fruits of those labors eventually became establishing a working relationship with Alara Corp on the surface to help.
Athena would have known that.
So Athena would have known that, but I think without the raise, you probably don't know too much more than the specifics.
All right.
Yeah, so you would know that if you guys sent expedition parties to do that, they would have taken both technology from Caldonix and probably the knowledge of how to create and manufacture that technology.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. I suppose you could call this one of those. I don't know if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it is a circumstance that was created by your city in one manner of thinking.
So, Zadar has allies that are looking to poach his throne if it's, handy, if it's easy, if it looks like some easy pickings for them. Who are they?
She shrugs at that and says, there are so many that I don't know that I could narrow it down for you. It's not necessarily that it would be easy pickings. It's that their resource network would have waned enough that perhaps another party would have felt they could gain a hold.
I mean, you said it's dynastic, sorta.
Sort of.
Is he just running out of family?
He has some, from what I understand, but I know there's a brother worked in somewhere. He doesn't seem to take part too much in the family business. At least not publicly, the way Galassi does.
I can understand that.
So I believe his name is Zaxby.
Zaxby?
Zaxby Zadar, yes.
Zaxby Zadar.
Yes, I ask that you forgive me for not knowing the entire history of the owner of the corporation that I was party to. I'm sure you understand that
Then
most
you should
people...
know it's fine.
Yes, most people on the ground floor don't care much who's at the top.
No, I know.
My sister and I came from more humble beginnings, and we owe much of what we have to Oleracorp, although I can't say that I have any personal affiliations beyond that. I think Benicia turns to you and says, you mentioned something about a patron before. What did you mean?
I barely know what I mean. I only found out about them tonight through Nima.
Through Nima.
Nima kinda was supercharged with some purple Cori that did not seem to be her own, and she said she got it from her patron, and your sister's on that ladder, but someone else is up top. She's not the patron, but she's pretending to be a patron for all intents and purposes. I don't know what it means. I got nothing.
Don't understand. A patron, you mean that she was a supervisor? She was in Oleracorp? That is true.
I mean,
I believe.
I think it's a Cori thing. It's a giving sort of. I don't know how it works. I
don't think you can give someone else Cori.
I didn't think so either until.
I think she shakes her head a little at that, and she brings her hands up, and she flexes her hands a little bit, and her glass floats off into the air just
Nice.
next to her, and she's flexing her hands, and as she's looking at them, there's a quizzical expression on her face, and you watch as these channels run up her arms, and it's in the same pattern where you saw the purple energy in the previous fight. But this time it's just like empty whitish scars that go up, and she watches them extend and she says, What is this?
It's where the purple was on you when we were attempting to tussle in the office.
She shakes her head and and she loses her balance for just a moment before steadying and says, Yes, I remember.
Do you?
Yes, we were in Strickland's office. And we were fighting.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, it's very far away, and she's reciting it almost automatically, but she's not fully in the conversation, and she's just staring off into the distance.
I mean, this was only like a half an hour ago. Are you having trouble remembering that?
She looks up to you with that same faraway expression, and then her eyes narrow to those complete cat slits again, and a hand flies up to her neck, like her sternum. She looks like she's about to scream, and then gasps. So there's
Athena takes a step back.
and she takes a staggering step or two backwards before falling down by the fireplace, and her hand is still up on her collarbone, but she spider crawls backwards until her back is right against the side of the fireplace, and she's looking at you and breathing very hard.
Oh good. I think she just takes a couple steps back because she's thinking maybe she remembered the first time she died. I'm not sure.
She's panting and looking around pretty frantically.
Are you okay?
She shakes her head with wide eyes and is still looking around.
Do you want me to leave?
Where is she?
Who?
The woman in the purple badge.
The what?
The woman with The purple badge. And her hands are shaking as she's
oh God,
lifting her hand
she's not
up.
here. Athena's made this connection.
Yeah, her head goes back to the fireplace and bangs against it, and she puts her hands up onto her face and is just sort of touching her head.
You're okay. That was Nima you were seeing again, it seems.
It didn't look like Nima.
No, you were her.
What?
Athena's having a real hard time.
They don't feel like someone else's memories.
I mean, maybe it's because you're hooked up with all that purple. I'm so sorry.
She doesn't respond, but you see her. She pushes back and she's sitting on her knees now in like a meditative position with her hands on her thighs, and she looks like she's focusing just really, really hard. Similar to what she did earlier, she's straining, and then after straining for several seconds, lets out a gasp and does this 2 or 3 times until you see a trickle of red come down her other nostril, and then she stops again and gasps with a long cough and collapses forward onto her hands, and there's just small droplets pattering down onto the ground.
Athena very tentatively gets a little closer because she wants to comfort this person, but she's doesn't want her to think she's gonna kill her again.
I can't use psionics.
At all?
No.
What were you trying to test it out with?
Make me a persuasion at -4.
-4, you said? 4?
I was trying to access my memories, or maybe Nima's, if it's all connected somehow, but there's nothing there. I can't. And she puts a hand up to her head and it's shaking. I can't feel it.
It might be due to your very recent trauma. But I'm not a doctor, I don't know. I'm just making some educated guesses.
Now she does hug herself a little tighter and takes a couple of deep, gasping breaths as she folds in on herself a little bit. Probably starts to cry a little bit.
Oh, jeez. Athena can't see a crying person and not try to help, but I think she just goes and sits down cross-legged next to her, just not touching her, just being there.
Sure.
She looks at Zadal specifically, like, very concerned, like, I don't know what to fucking do.
I think Zadal comes over and puts a hand on your shoulder. Like, I'm so sorry you have to go through this. As she is just here crying, the scene around you begins to get a bit blurry and fuzzy. The room itself stays the same shape, but all the furnishings, all the accoutrements start to fade away and blur into different forms, and everything is still in the same general place, but everything looks a lot plainer. Not as
lavish.
Not nearly as lavish. Very cold, very clinical, very cheap looking. You've been here before.
Oh?
There's a window off to your right, and you look out and it is overlooking Caldonix, the city. Again, just like before, sort of a loose approximation of what you would think the city would look like from here. It looks like you're maybe in Southwest City, by the wall, in one of the apartment complexes, AleraCorp adjacent.
Huh.
It looks pretty much exactly like the apartment that you and Zadal went to that had been blown to pieces.
Up. Oh shit. I think she looks I guess she looks over at Zadal because she's sitting down.
Yeah, Zadal this time is the one who looks back to you with recognition, but doesn't say or do anything. I think he goes over to look out the window.
So that was Nima then, maybe?
Definitely could have been. If she was here, there was the explosion, and then you chased the people through the streets and brought them back, and we didn't get out here till the next day, right?
Yeah, but those eyes were red.
Yeah.
No. The one... I think she rubs at her head a little bit. The one of them had... Her eyes changed colors. It was blue and purple and purple shield? Oh god, it's muddled. This is just a web. This is just a fun little web. Her fingers are just grating into the carpet. I think she'd like to look around the apartment.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that came from here, they had the red eyes, and the ones that the ones in the warehouse, they were, what, orange?
Orange.
I don't know.
He turns to Benicia, who is still... I don't think she's, like, sobbing anymore, but I think hasn't moved.
Hey, what is this place? Why'd you bring us here? Why'd you pick this?
And she takes a lot of steadying breaths and wipes her nose and says, "This was my apartment."
In the city?
Yes. Whenever I stayed here, this is the place I would stay. Set up by Suzette, but I wasn't here very often, so there was really no cause for anything too extravagant.
Huh.
Never had the chance to make things the way I wanted them to be.
Were you aware that people were cooking up some kind of drugs in it in the off time when you weren't here?
I think she lets out a laugh of somewhere between frustration and having no idea. No, I was not aware of that.
It kind of blew up last week. But good news, it was put back together within a day. And we don't know how or why, but I think I know by who, maybe now. So.
Well, then I hope whoever lives there after me gets to enjoy it.
What would you do when you came to visit? Just hanging out, seeing your sister?
This is gonna be a persuade. I think this one's just a straight persuade.
Bad. I got one more Benny, I'll spend it.
Spend it on that?
Yeah. 5. I just love character tidbits.
I know.
I love them so much.
Yes, well, we grew up on the surface, so we never got to see anything quite like this. It was extravagant the first time I came here. Just to see a city that was clean. People were happy. There wasn't as much hostility.
There wasn't.
She looks wistful, pushes herself up to go and stand by the window and put a hand on it as she looks out. I never got to spend much time with my sister when I was here, so I went around and just wanted to see everything.
What'd you like?
I like the trains.
I like them too.
It was very peaceful. Could sit and watch the city go by.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't spent nights doing that.
She has a small smile on her face as she looks out. And I think as she is doing that, you can see, there is a rail line off in the distance and a train whips past.
Well, Benicia, I think we'll leave you here if you want some time alone. If you want, I can come back tomorrow, see how you're doing. I just don't want to leave you alone. Not after you spend so long alone. Nobody deserves that. And I'm really sorry.
She listens to you while staring out at the city. I don't know what to say. Thank you for not killing me again.
I'd say you're welcome, but that sounds a bit rude. And not what I intend to convey. 'Cause I'm bad with words, I'm sorry.
She smiles, again sadly, but turns to face you. We live in difficult times. It is not always clear why we clash, why we meet on battlefields, whether with pens or swords. It would be nice if we could all live in a less complicated place. So, I can't pretend to say that I didn't expect to die that way. At least someday. But I am thankful to be mostly in my right mind. It's more than I had 30 minutes ago, I suppose. If you want to come, I won't stop you.
Okay, well, I'll be back then.
What happens in the meantime?
In the meantime, you can relax. And I'm going to thrust myself out into a city that might eat me alive on my walk home. But fingers crossed, I'll still be alive to see you tomorrow.
She nods to that. I think Silas speaks up and he says, "We can keep her here, if that is acceptable. Or we could move her to a secure location, but I will require access for further information gathering. She's been amenable thus far, but we need to corroborate everything she's saying. And I'm afraid that if we were to push her too hard now,
Would you be willing to wait for me for corroboration? I think she gives him very hard eyes. Like, this is an ask, but it's a firm fucking ask. I think she's silhouetted by the fire.
Go ahead and make me a persuade. That one's going to be at a -4, I think.
Seems fair. Nope.
1.
Yep.
And he meets your eyes equally hard, and he says, time permitting, perhaps.
Athena narrows her eyes at him a little bit, but doesn't say anything else. I think she does roll her shoulder that had been hurt in her brain.
Yeah.
Because I think she still feels like it's hurt, but she knows it's not. So she just kind of
Sure.
works through a shoulder roll real quick.
Zadal is looking at the both of you, and he holds up a hand and points at you and then Benicia and just back and forth a little bit and says,
So there's like a thing between you two, like Silas, you seeing this too?
let's do a roll for Silas. He did see it.
Oh,
Silas nods and takes a few steps closer and is just peering at both of you. And there's no hostility in this. It's just very clinical,
curious.
curious. It's fascinating.
Oh, I'd love to hear about it. She says, very done.
There's some sort of, I don't know, would you call it a tether, perhaps? Maybe, some connection between the two of you. Well, and he looks back to Zadal, who takes a few steps closer and says,
You got some of this purple on you still?
Oh no.
It doesn't really seem to be on her now, but it's still sort of
On me.
on. Yeah.
Oh, that's super.
How you feeling?
I was feeling a lot better before I found that out.
But nothing changed. You don't feel any different?
I don't think so.
Then I am plumb out of ideas. Did you like that food joke?
I did.
Doing it for you?
Yeah.
Benicia shrugs and says, well, I wish I could corroborate with that.
Guess I'll find out more about this interesting development later. Not much we can do right now, unless, Silas, you have an idea about something else to tack on to this very long day.
I don't think I certainly don't understand everything that's going on here. You did not appear to have any when we examined you on the outside, and here we are again. If she has been cleansed from your mind, then it doesn't appear that there's any sort of control. It's simply there. It exists within, puts a hand out and just waves around. This?
Like my aura,
I suppose if you...
my vibes are just purple now.
If you want to consider it that way, perhaps. I need to look at this more. If you're still connected to all of this.
Are you still considering killing me? 'Cause, man, that wouldn't be a super cherry on top of today.
Zadal shifts a little bit and takes a step to stand closer to you, so it's not like right side by side, but it creates a visible, like a very visual representation of you and Zadal are standing closer than Silas. And
Gotcha.
Silas is sort of standing off there, and he folds his arms and stares back at Silas too. Benicia's leaning against the glass of the window, watching the scene play out, and Silas holds his hands open and says, "No, Athena, that is not my plan. I think we already covered that. Unless it becomes clear that you are trying to kill me, this is still our best option for figuring out what's going on. You still have some sort of connection. We know that it now roots back somehow to Suzette Olivier. We have Benicia here as a source of information on the inside. We might still be able to use that connection to lure them out or manipulate them."
Well, if I'm wrapped up in this, got some purple junk on me, I bet they're just gonna come and find me. So I'll let you know when they do.
Benicia says, "If it is helpful to you, I was never accosted by anyone."
That is helpful. And worrying.
And worrying, yes. I don't know.
Well, you guys gotta keep looking at my brain, make sure I'm clean. I don't know what else to do in the meantime.
Well, we can certainly take a look when we pull out of here.
That would be good.
Well, I don't want to push my luck here, but, this is certainly better than being dead, but if I do not have my psionics, this is still another form of a prison to me. So, I suppose let me collect my thoughts, and you can come back if you have any questions, and maybe we can figure out something else.
That's the plan.
Thank you for not killing me. Are you going to kill my sister?
I hope not. I've been killing a lot of people lately, but it's usually because they've attacked me first.
She purses her lips and nods.
She mutters under her breath, usually. And just kind of looks out the window.
You can take a penny for that. Well, I cannot stop you from here. And maybe she does deserve it. I don't know.
I don't know enough about any kind of situation right now, but I'm gonna go collect my thoughts and we will leave you in peace and I'll see you tomorrow.
For what it's worth, I certainly like the outcome of this better than the alternative. She might as well.
I think she nods at that and purses her lips a little bit. I'm glad you're mostly okay. I'm sorry for all the pain I caused you. And I'm gonna try and make good on some of that.
And she looks to you and offers a small nod. Doesn't really seem like she's expecting anything there.
Athena just starts towards the door.
You make your way towards the door, and the other two begin to follow after you, and I think the scene begins to dissolve as you reach the door, and as you open it and walk through, everything fades black, and then after another couple of moments, you are back to yourself in the present, in the medical examination room.
In the wheelie chair.
In the wheelie chair, yes.
She did grab one.
She did grab one.
Nice.
And everyone is standing around. Zadal and Silas blinking and regaining their composure. The crystal right next to you, where Benicia is, has lost all tint. So it's now just this crystal husk filled with this white, opaque energy.
So that purple's back in me now, huh? She says, connecting at least 2 dots.
I can make a line.
I can make one whole knowledge line. Ooh, troubling day, guys. Troubling day all around.
Roja is off looking at a bank of monitors and glances up as you're speaking and then back down and just gives a non-committal, but Pavi is nearby and comes over and squeezes your shoulder.
She smiles at Pavi.
Yeah. We seem to be doing all right so far.
Mm-hmm.
How'd everything go in there?
She's like my mom now, if that makes sense. With the hair and the eyes.
So I think she was behind you and she walks around and her expression is ponderous. She's thinking about that and then blinks when she sees you and says, "Your eyes are purple."
What?
Why are your eyes purple?
What?
And she looks around trying to find a reflective surface and probably produces a small mirror and holds it up.
Ooh, she snatches it.
Yeah, it's your iris. It's mostly full as a solid color, but as you watch, there are small streaks of yellow that course through it occasionally, like a pulse or like a little ripple of energy. And Pavi is watching you concerned.
Oh, people are gonna notice that one.
Yeah, that's different.
That's different.
She puts a hand on your forehead to feel your temperature. Zadal and Silas now crowd around you.
I think she only blushes a little bit at the very physical attention because she doesn't like people looking at her.
Everyone is looking at you, except for Roja. She's off working on something else.
God, good. She's chilling. Fine.
Silas is looking at you and he says, "Well, this is very similar to the last time we saw this."
Does everything look purple?
No.
Huh.
You don't have like the purple film over your eyes or anything.
Guys, I don't like this.
Maybe you should hold on a moment and we'll take a poke around.
Yeah, sure.
If the last time was given anything, we should probably be prepared again.
Oh, I think Athena, she just leans back in the chair for just 1 second and then just pounds a fist on the arm of the chair and opens it up like a go-ahead gesture.
Silas and Zadal crowd around you, and There's one more collective sigh from everybody as they connect your minds and go in to take a look around, and everything fades away. And where would you recoalesce this time? What does your internal mindscape look like?
She's very uncomfortable right now, so somewhere she has felt uncomfortable in the past.
Autopsy room?
Oh God, no.
Not the-
No. Probably in an elevator.
All right, so it's the same Home Alone furnace elevator. It's been giving you nasty eyes, and you're in it, and it's making this... There's a whir as the elevator's moving, and the whir is louder than it normally would be. But it's you and Silas and Zadal all standing in this relatively small space. Zadal looks around and says, you really like elevators.
I opposite of like elevators.
You do not like elevators. I remember that.
Silas is standing there, but looking around, taking in all the surroundings, and it looks like he's listening, just standing there listening. After maybe 15 to 30 seconds of this, he looks back to Zadal and you with a quizzical expression. I don't sense anything. It doesn't feel like it did the last time. Nothing's coming to attack either of us. I don't feel anything pressing in the distance.
Yeah, I don't feel anything either. Just sort of, here.
I don't really have anything to contribute to this conversation. I guess we're just in a different part of my brain. I don't know where.
Here's the thing, that could be, but your brain's sort of all hooked together, so you gotta look around for stuff, and I don't know, the last one, based on what Silas said and what we saw, didn't really take long to find you.
No, it didn't.
I don't know, it feels different to me. It doesn't feel like a trap, doesn't feel like there's anything here.
I mean, a good trap wouldn't feel like one, right?
That's a reasonable statement, yeah.
The elevator dings and comes to a stop.
I didn't make it do that, she says to them.
Yeah, they both turn and look at you and then back to the elevator as the doors open. And they open to the contraband incinerator room. The same incinerator that you watched Joel Shin plunge into years ago. We zoom into Athena's pupil and
Flashes back to like a shorter haired, very scared looking Athena with the glow of the open incinerator on her face as she's peeking through the door.
so we see past Athena.
I feel like maybe she looks like that now again.
Oh, I really like that. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I don't think you need to roll for that. I think that just happens because that's
In her,
what Athena feels in this moment.
she got her fancy little dress on and the little red shawl and some boots, short hair, no scars.
So we as the audience see this Athena in the past with the orange light glowing on her face, and then we zoom back out of her eye to see her now dressed and appearing the same way, but with Silas and Zadal standing beside her. But this time, instead of orange light, it is purple light, and the energy roiling and shifting from the incinerator, which is open, is purple. Pinks and purples, mostly purple, with these tendrils that occasionally lick out. Zadal pauses and looks you up and down, seeing that you've changed substantially, but doesn't say anything. And Silas says, "Is this the color it normally is?"
No.
So, we're still in your mental scape. You didn't do this.
No,
We didn't do this. There's nothing else here.
I think she takes very, very slow steps towards the incinerator. She's not waiting for them, but
Sure.
she's going slowly.
Yeah, going slowly. Take slow steps into the room. The room itself, I think this is a room that you have a very clear mental image of.
Oh, it's burned into her brain.
So the room itself is rather unfinished, rocky walls. The floor is a mixture of stone, dirt, and metal walkways. There is an elevated catwalk that goes up maybe 10 to 15 feet across the incinerator pit, or right to the side of it, which is where you saw figures standing before. This time, there's no one. The room itself just leaves into that elevator, and you walk closer towards this purple light that is shining out of the pit.
I think she takes a second to stand where Joel was.
Athena standing here and looking down, you feel that weird sense of parallel or deja vu, like you're connecting with that moment, but you don't feel the same sense of terror that you would expect. Like, looking at this pit and all this energy down in front of you, it's not It's not scary. You know, you're standing there. It's warm in a way, weirdly comforting. You know, you've seen this color so much lately that I don't know, you don't feel anything malicious or evil intent.
I think she squints at it and then looks back. I don't think it wants to hurt us.
Athena, I don't think this is... I mean, there's no presence here. I can't sense anything.
This is it?
I mean, perhaps.
I can feel it.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm telling you.
As it all comes up to join you and looks down into the pit.
I don't, Silas, I don't know that I sense a psionic presence like a mind, you know, like we did with Benicia, but, you know, I can feel it too. It's here. This is something. I don't know how to describe it. Like there's intent, but not a brain.
Athena gets onto her stomach and like peers her face like down the hole and maybe reaches a hand down in to see if she like can grab at anything or if anything comes towards her being so close.
Yeah, you reach a hand down into this pool and it's not liquid quite, you know, it's wispy. It looks like it's partly gaseous, but it's like a weird mixture of all forms. You know, you put your hand down and this is still a mental scape, so I think if you imagine that it would be liquidy, that's probably what it feels like. It reminds me of a way less spooky version of in Hercules at the very end when there's that
the green pit.
Yeah, like the green pit. But
I got some problems with that pit. We can talk about
sure,
that later.
Yeah, I don't generally like to draw cultural parallels that way, but this is kind of what that looks like. It's just a pit of...
Gotcha.
It's a much more narrow, focused...
Big wispy pit of
energy that's maybe 20 feet across. You swirl your hand through it. It feels warm. Like a comfortable warmth in the background. When you put your hand in, it's like you feel all of that energy at once. Like you put your hand in and you feel it spread through you, and you can watch the color dancing over your arm, and it sort of slithers up your arm a bit with that same warmth.
I think she'd like to try and ask something with her brain and not with her mouth.
Okay. What are you going to ask?
What are you? It's just for this energy. She's trying to funnel just the last of the day's willpower into this, just to get something through.
Make me a spirit roll at -4. I'll give you a Benny because this is super brave for Athena.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Athena to do this, but what do I know? I know very little about Athena as a character, it seems,
God.
because you constantly surprise me in good ways.
She's so curious, though.
I like it.
I'll spend this Benny you've just given me.
So it's a tough roll.
-4.
-4.
It's a 4.
You got a 4?
I got a 4.
Oh, nice. Okay. Right. There's no kind of like voice or answer that you can actually understand. I think you feel another pulse of that warmth and it washes up your arm. Everything you feel is emotional instinct, because that's sort of the lens through which Athena interprets things, like with the empathy power. So you don't get a vocal response, but I think what you feel is some confusion, positive feedback, happiness or excitement that there is some sort of attempt at communication. There's something bordering wariness, but also intense curiosity.
Are you my patron?
What you get back that time is confusion. Or nothing certain, whether that means the answer is no or it doesn't understand even the question that you're asking.
Do you want?
So are you asking like if this thing has desires?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the intent is understood. I think the intent of your question, like, do you want things? Like, is there anything you want? And I think the answer is a confused and not fully understanding yes. So it's kind of like, yes?
Are you in the city, or are you just in me?
I think there's confusion at city and confirmation of you.
Huh.
Sort of like, I mean, I'm here. And all of these responses are super abstract. So
Right.
I'm being vague because I think it's also difficult for Athena to fully understand what
that's
she is
fine.
feeling too.
Did the parasite come from you?
What does Athena think when she thinks parasite? Like, is there a mental image that goes along with that?
Troya at this point. The red eyes on the Yara.
Okay. I think when you say, did the parasite come from you, you feel it understands the reference to the parasite. It gets that through whatever means you've communicated. The short answer is no. What it says that there is, the feeling you get is that this thing understands what you're asking and what it is that you're referencing when you say the parasite, but it does not appear to have a direct connection.
What do you want me to do with you?
You get a wash of concern and worry and some fear back. You have these emotions wash through you, but you know that they're not yours.
Oh, she's acutely aware of what her own worry feels like.
Maybe confusion as to the answer to that question. Maybe doesn't really know.
Are you trying to take me over?
I think you get a couple of brief mental images now. Like Athena, and you're here doing this, but you get very crystal clear screenshots in your mind of, I think they're point of view shots from Benicia. All of them either look like where you initially fought Benicia on that metal road in the blackness, or they are from the fights that you just had. And they're all point of view shots. So most of them are either like looking at this road or out into the blackness, or it jumps to point of view shot of you, like something looking at you, whether it's from like the enormous Kaida and you down there, or even in the office when you're with Benicia. It shows you all of these things, and the emotions that go with it is a mixture of anger and fear, mostly fear, and then there's sort of a feeling of tranquility after that. Just the emotions wash out of you.
So you're not afraid of me?
It comes back a little bit.
The fear?
Just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
There's tentative acceptance, just sort of like a neutral.
I think she pulls her hand out.
As you're going to pull your hand out, the energy snakes up your arm a little bit more, and you feel there's a flash of desperation for a moment.
Oh shit. She's stays still for a second.
And it doesn't, there's nothing physical pulling you back. It's just like you still have this tether with this energy, and as you're pulling away, you feel that wash of desperation. Not like it's physically pulling you, but you just feel
right.
it. You get the feeling like it's certainly afraid for you to go and to be like trapped here.
It is?
It is, yeah. It's afraid that you're going to go, and it doesn't want you to, but there's also an offer, like it wants you to understand something, or it wants you to take something, or it wants you to do something.
Oh, she doesn't understand any of that. And it's worrying.
Yeah.
I mean, would it be able to feel that just emanating out of her?
Yeah, I think so. When it feels that, it recedes a bit. You feel it relinquishing, pulls away. You know, it's backing off, but the energy on your arm remains. The tether breaks and it goes back into the pool, but that energy that had been playing up your arm is still on there, and you can still feel that warmth.
She takes a spare hand and just rubs her chin while she's still looking down at it.
You watch it, and it plays over your skin. Wispy motes of energy curl up your arm and drift away. It's sort of like a weird malleable plasma, almost.
Huh.
It sits there, and you can feel it. I mean, you can feel this energy humming, and the more you focus on it and you're looking at it, it feels kind of familiar. It doesn't feel weird to have it on here. It doesn't have much of a physical sensation, unless Athena imagines that there is one. But it's there, and you feel connected in some way. Feels good. I mean, feels like energy.
Right. I mean, does it feel like her own Corey?
Not quite. Like it doesn't feel like your own Corey that comes from you. It doesn't feel quite the same as when you reach for your own power, but it feels adjacent. I mean, it doesn't feel as strange and alien as you might expect it. It's like driving a car. You know, you drive your car and you know how your car works and where everything is and how it feels when you're driving it because you've done it so much.
Right.
But you could step into somebody else's car and still drive it. You're just not as familiar and you don't know where everything is or understand
That's
how
a
it
very
works.
good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it doesn't feel alien.
Offer?
What is the intention behind your question?
Like what it felt like it was offering in that moment before.
The energy on your arm pulses a bit warmer and spreads up your arm just a little bit. It's not trying to control your actions or anything like that. It's just you can feel this energy, this power in your arm.
What does this cost me?
Confusion. Maybe it's confusion at the concept of like payment or like cost. Like it doesn't really understand what you're trying to get across from that. Aside from maybe you can feel that it's just content to exist, sort of like it's hard to put that into words. Like you ask what it costs and it comes back with confusion and maybe contentment.
I'm sorry I hurt you. I was scared too.
There's a measure of understanding that you feel like, you know, maybe that's kind of a universal. My bad. Sorry about that.
Do you want me here? Right here, right now? Is this where I should be?
I think confusion, just not understanding.
That one was a stretch. I think she tries to pull her hand out again.
The energy on your arm.
I think she is very curious. And I think she drums her fingers on the edge of the pool a little bit and stands up. Says, whatever's in there wants to come on out with me, I think.
Whatever's in there.
It's not like I don't know. I'm getting feelings and it doesn't. It's scared of me, but it doesn't want to be alone. I don't know what it is.
Silas rubs at his eyes. I don't at all understand what is going on right now.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta take a leap. And I think she jumps into the pit.
Oh shit! Oh man! Alright, take a Benny for that.
Oh, hell yeah! Well, I was thinking if she'd shut the door on it, and it's scared, and she doesn't know what it is, and she'd rather keep it closer than locked up and angry at her. So that's where she's at with that. Athena quickly moves and jumps into the middle of the pit, but does like a pivot to look back at them before she falls down, and looks a little confident in her foolishness, and then she disappears.
As you're doing this diving pivot, you look over and you see Silas and Zadal standing only a couple of feet away. Silas looks quite surprised, curious but surprised. Zadal sees, I think, interprets what you're about to do and starts to move forward, you know, outstretches a hand, doesn't try to grab you, but, you know, tries to stop you from doing it kind of while you're already doing it. Athena, wait!
No, time's passed on that one.
Yeah.
Well, she's going for it anyway. She can't not. There's just a flicker of worry when he says that, and then she's gone.
Oh god. Okay, so you jump down into this shifting mass of purple energy. What is Athena's expectation at this point?
She has no fucking idea. She just felt like this was the place to be,
I think
and it didn't want her to go.
How is she falling? Is it a dive? Is it like a all of her arms are out type thing? So we said this is a 20-foot wide pit.
Yeah, I feel like she instinctively falls in like a wingsuit sort of formation where she's trying to like stop herself, like stop her descent with the wingsuit she's not wearing right now because she's in a dress.
Yeah. I forget you're wearing the dress. That's
yeah.
cool. Athena, you fall through this energy and you stretch your limbs out and you can feel resistance of some kind. It's not quite falling through the air. It's not diving into a pool of water. It's kind of a mixture. You can feel wispy resistance against your hands and your arms and the core of your body as you continue falling down, but it doesn't feel like the rate of descent is dangerous. It's not like leaping out of the spire into the air on a wingsuit. If you open your eyes and you look around, you can see the purple energy billowing around you and cascading off of your limbs in waves as you just go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Is it beautiful? Is it scary?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, this is still uncharted territory for Athena. It's the energy is mostly the same dark purple, but there are lighter tinges in there too, maybe washes of white. So there's a spectrum of, white to purple energy. You still feel that comfortable warmth and just a general presence that's there. And at a certain point, the descent just stops. You feel yourself float down and you're just in empty space and everything is just weird, this weird purple energy, and there's a purple mist, a fog everywhere. You can't see in any specific direction. It's all just sort of escapeless, but the feeling doesn't change.
Can she walk?
Sure, yeah, you're still just hovering, floating, but if you put your foot forward like you're about to take a step, then it's like you're stepping on solid matter.
I feel like the first step maybe is like walking on a bounce house until she gets used to it. Her whole torso wobbles as she tries to figure out how to do that. But I feel like she gets it pretty quick.
Sure,
she has a D6 athletics.
Yeah, that's fair. But how's your agility?
D8.
That's even better. So yeah, you take this first step out, and it's, if you imagine that it's going to be solid, then it becomes more solid. So I think the more you can get your footing, the more it evens out. It's this empty space, and you can feel the presence is still there. And this time, it's almost like you're hearing these whispers, just a voice just beyond hearing, a tiny, tiny little noise just scratching at you from just beyond comprehension. So you know it's there and you can strain to listen to it, but you can't make it out.
I think she smashes her eyes shut and is listening so hard.
Let's think of it this way. Athena jumped down here not really knowing what to expect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What you feel, what you interpret is that same want. Maybe you don't hear the word, nothing says it to you, but maybe in your brain, that's what it feels like to you, just that intention, want.
Does it make Athena feel like she wants for that instant?
I don't think there's a compulsion there. I think it's a redirection back to that concept, to that idea. So it gets Athena's brain back on track thinking about that. What would occur to Athena?
I mean, thinking about her wants, probably protecting people, the people she loves.
Okay.
Helping people who can't help themselves. Those are her main wants.
What does that mean to Athena? How would she visualize that? How would she interpret that desire?
Just thinking about a room full of happy people she loves.
I think in this purple mist scape, the fog and the mist sort of comes together. It doesn't rush together, but it drifts closer together and makes a very, very loose approximation of a table. And then there are just a couple of blobby figures that form around the table.
She paces around the table just looking at it.
It's like a child's drawing, like a caveman carving in a wall. You understand the intent behind this because of what you were just thinking about.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at it and you can make the one-to-one, but if you were looking at it aside from that, who knows?
Well, this is what I want. But what do you want? How can I help?
When that concept comes back of wanting, there's, again, confusion.
She tries to radiate help. Like the feeling she gets when she assists.
When you have that thought, The feeling you get in return, the echo that comes back to you, is a reassertion of that idea of wanting to help, right?
I think so.
And then the fog and the mist and everything begins to billow back in again, and it's like it's rushing towards you and up into your circlet.
Oh.
So there's no real physical sensation to it. It's just, it sort of spirals together in this cloud-like halo that gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then falls onto your head, and then poofs against your circlet.
Athena is whipping her head around watching it spiral, but she can't really see it go in, right? I mean, not easily.
And when it rests down and you feel it poof, there is that same familiar warmth, and this time it's radiating from your circlet. No longer hot and painful, but just a background heat.
Huh.
You blink your eyes and everything, all the color dissipates from the room. It's just this strange, cloudy white and gray. Your hands begin to heat up and get warm, and you look down and you see that purple energy in the palms of your hands. It's not tangible enough that you can grab it and hold it, but you can feel it. It's like how whenever someone tries to attack you through your circlet, and there's that weird wall, that membrane that feels like they're pushing through, or like you're pushing through.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like there's a resistance when you put your hand on it. You can try to grab onto it, but you'll never get a full hold. So it's perpetually trying to slip from your fingers. But it's also attached to you and on you, so it's like
Right.
you'll grab it and it's like a bar of soap, and it will
Yeah.
squeeze out and spiral back around, but it goes back to this resting position.
I think she smiles a little bit because she's very perplexed, but she's having a more interesting, less dire time than she thought she might. So
And
she's just playing with this little purple soap.
And it's not just like the one thing, it's just this amorphous presence on both of your hands. And when you smile and when you find yourself intrigued
Having a
and
good
having a
time.
good time, you feel that sentiment echoed back.
Huh.
The energy spreads out on your hand, and then it fades into your skin, and it disappears.
So, what is that? Because it's in me now, just like you.
Acknowledgement.
It just is. Okay.
It doesn't seem like there's a separation between, like you address two different things and it just responds.
Because you're all the same thing. Huh.
You feel the affirmation. There's the heat on your circlet again, and you blink your eyes, and everything's purple. But this time, it's not like everything is purple. It's like you have that lens on over your eyes again,
I don't like this as much.
and you blink it, and it's gone.
I think she tries to blink it back with intention.
Yeah, with intention, you feel that same heat again, and you blink, and your vision's back. Your circlet radiates a little bit more heat while that's happening.
Is this how you see what I see?
I don't think you get a clear response.
Can I control this?
There's a sense of hesitant agreement, just at the idea of control.
I think she tries to do it a couple times real fast to try and get that sentiment across, like off, like a light switch.
Sure, okay, alright. This time make me a spirit roll.
Okay.
-2.
11.
You make the mental effort to do this. It essentially functions exactly the way you want it to. You blink a couple times and it goes on and off and on and off. And I think you just get a sense of bewilderment, confusion, and
I think she tries to get back the soap, for lack of a better word, for now.
yeah, you concentrate on it, and you're looking at your hands and you see a couple streaks of this purple lightning almost just go through your hands and shoot up and arc into your fingertips, and then the glow comes back to your hands.
She wants to throw it.
Throw it?
Yeah.
So what's
Like
the
a baseball.
Like a baseball?
Just to see what it does. The intention is curious.
So you rear back and you try to ball this energy in your hand, and again, like you grab it, and it's like opposing magnetic forces, where they're like the same polarity, where they
That's-
repel each other.
yeah.
So you're trying to grab it. You're like a magnet trying to grab another magnet that doesn't attract, and it just keeps squeezing away from you. But you throw it. Make me another spirit roll.
8.
8. You throw it really hard, and you can feel it's like a tether, going out. You throw it, and you watch this energy extend just a little bit, but then it just snaps right back to you.
She wants to let it just sit there and see if it does anything while she's not trying to fuck with it. Or if it just sits there.
It just sits there. You feel another intention of confusion, maybe questioning.
I think she just sends back new, maybe?
Hesitant agreement.
I think she puts it away and tries to start walking in a direction.
With what intention?
Looking for anything else.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where if you're thinking about things, then you see these weird, wispy approximations if you focus really hard, but otherwise, nothing appears on its own.
She's gonna try something.
Okay.
Can she, see Silas and Zadal if she thinks really hard? Because it is all her brain.
You think about them really hard, and in front of you, there's just these weird, blobby, fog-like people. You get a very brief mental flash of the room that you were just in, with the incinerator, and this time it's empty.
Oh. Did they leave?
Confusion.
Yeah, I
Worry.
think when
Concern.
if she thinks did they leave, you get a mental thumbs up.
Are they looking for me?
Uncertainty.
We should go find them.
Uncertainty.
Are you happy? Is this what you wanted? Home?
Hesitant. Yes.
That's as good as she's gonna get, seems like. Man, she's made a bargain that she does not understand or is equipped for, potentially. But she rolled some dice.
Does she have this mental thought?
Yep.
I think there's agreement.
Yep. I think Athena's at a bit of a loss, and she doesn't know how to get back where she wants to go.
So she's trying to leave now?
I think so.
When Athena begins to think about, getting out or going to try to find them, a door does then materialize as she's walking forward in this misty nothingness. Maybe it looks like the door to Escarglow. But there's nothing behind. Like, you don't see the shop in front of you.
Right.
There's just the door.
I think she's got her hand on, the doorknob. She taps her circlet and asks,
Are you in here? Or
she taps her head.
here?
When you tap the circlet, it heats up, and you tap your brain, and your body tingles. But your head doesn't.
That's weird.
It's like a body. If your leg's asleep and you stand up, it's like that, but it's your body, but it's like a fraction of a second. So it doesn't cause you to fall over or anything. It's just a
I
weird
think her
tingle.
body does jostle forward a bit because she wasn't in any way expecting that.
Sure.
I think she just says,
Please be gentle. I'm very fragile.
she is.
Yeah. Concerned agreement.
She shrugs. Poppy's been telling her this for ages.
Sure. Athena, you feel your hand close on this door, and it swings outward into what appears to be an empty void of nothingness, and the smoke in the room around you begins to billow and funnel out through this dark doorway that you stand in front of, and you watch it spiral out and away and up into the darkness, and you feel yourself being pulled ever so gently, invited out and upwards. And I think as you take that step out into the void and feel yourself tumbling into empty air, it's the reverse of the feeling when you came down. You feel light force lifting you up by your limbs, flying upward with an invisible wind as this energy spirals around you, and you rush up to an exit that you can't see but know is there. And there is one last feeling of triumphant jubilation before you break into light and the scene fades. I wanted to play through that scene to see what you'd do and kind of how you'd handle it.
I think she handled it better because she was alone. Like there weren't other people around that were hyping her up or stressing her out.
Oh, sure. See, it's a strange position for me to be in because I play every NPC, and I think you're getting better at understanding that, like, I am not the NPCs, and the NPCs are not always trustworthy, and the NPCs aren't always asking you to do things in your best interest.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I don't want to get into a situation where I have like a bunch of NPCs berating you, being like, do this, no, do this. It's interesting sometimes, but for things like this, I like the idea that this is a situation where Athena just gets to decide for herself. This is more of the mechanical stage of wanting to talk through it on a meta level. This is going to be kind of fast and loose for what it is right now. I was originally designing basically this to be the font background. Arcane background. Now that idea has changed a little bit over time, and I don't have a name for the background, but my idea is that by having this like energy connection or whatever you want to call it, the draw is not so much gaining new powers as you normally would, but being able to choose abilities from like the superpowers handbook. So my idea, and I don't know how this functions, I don't know if it should be a separate background or if it should be like an edge you can take once you hit a certain tier. I don't really know the specifics of it right now.
You know what? This is playtesting, baby.
Right, and that's what I'm
We're
thinking.
just trying stuff out.
We're just trying things out, and I didn't want to like put you in a situation where you're learning multiple arcane background skills because that's just, or having them all, I don't know. So I don't know how exactly this will factor into the settings specifically, or what it will pop up as, whether it's an like an edge that you can take, or if it's a specific background, or what. I don't know yet. But what I would like it to do is allow you the opportunity to take powers from the superpower companion in a limited facet. So this is not an over-the-top super setting. That's not the intention
Not at all.
here. But what I like about the superpower companion is that it gives you the ability to have consistent and useful abilities. So you don't need to, most of these things, you don't roll to activate them. You can just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So the trade-off is consistency versus versatility. And I wrote down ideas about what powers might be appropriate for the background as a whole. My only real concern is making sure that it is distinct enough from the other arcane backgrounds, or that it does different things, which it does by offering the superpower companion things.
Yeah.
That's also something that I kind of wanted to fuse with psiology. So if we do treat it like an arcane background, I was kind of thinking it would be, you have linked psionics and weird science, which all function like normal backgrounds.
Synthesizer.
I do like that a lot, so we'll probably use that. So you have those three where it's normal stuff. Each one of them has access to different power, like a different list of powers. You start with a certain number of points, you start with a certain number of powers, and then you treat it like a normal background. Then there's psiology, which is, I kind of wanted that to be a halfway step between the normal backgrounds and then this one, where maybe psiology gets a couple of these superpowers, but it's only things that can affect them, which would represent things like growing armor or breathing fire, anything like that, where it's generated from them. But then they also have a small pool of power points that they can use to fuel regular powers to like make the consumables that they use on other people. So most of their abilities are only for themselves, but then they get a very limited pool of power points, and they can pick maybe one or two powers by default to be able to pass around to other people.
Buff folks.
Right. So for Roja, maybe the base power point pool is 5. Maybe it's as low as 5, and you get 1 or 2 powers to start, and then you can choose a certain number of points out of the superpower thing too. So you get like a little column A, a little column B.
That's cool.
And then this one would be on the far end of the spectrum where it's all superpower stuff. I don't know how to decide how many points people get. I don't know that it should be based on an attribute. Like, I don't know that I want to say you get half of your spirit die an attribute when you take this, because then, somebody just wants to bump it to D10 or D12 to take like 6 points of things. I don't know how to balance. Maybe that is a good idea, maybe it's not.
Now this is for me. Is Athena still linked? So she's linked and now a font.
I don't know that I want to use the word font for this.
Okay.
So that was like the playtesting name, and I still like that as an idea for something in universe, just because this is not something that
exists yet.
Right.
In a large capacity at any rate.
Right. I don't think there is like a widely used term or anything like that. So we'll figure it out as we go.
We'll stumble upon it.
We'll figure it out as we go. But what I want to figure out for Athena is 2 different things.
Okay.
The first of which is the relic card, which I had mentioned. I thought that something to do with the circlet would be appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
If you have ideas for this, of course, I'd love to hear them. I already kind of pitched you one or two things that I had thought of. And then the other portion would be picking a couple of powers for having this, which not something we have to do right now.
Okay.
And that I wanted to like tell you about it earlier, but it also kind of depended on what you were doing and how the scene should go.
Right.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Neon Heat.
We always appreciate it.
The Patreon, which should now be fully searchable and is no longer tagged as not safe for work. We swear, we do goofs, nothing explicit. You can find us at patreon.com/RPG for you and me.
We got Twitter at RPG for you and me, and I'm on Twitter at UCTheHat.
For music, we used tracks from Crockett and Waveshaper. It's at Crockett80s and Crockett with 2 T's .bandcamp.com. And you can find Waveshaper on Bandcamp at waveshaper1.bandcamp.com.
Hey, Pickle.
Yeah.
Who's Savage Worlds owned by?
The Pinnacle Entertainment Group, who you can find at peginc.com.
But you know where I bet you can also find them coming up in the next month or so.
Where's that?
No, Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan. Yes, Genghis Khan, the Savage Worlds convention once per year in Denver, Colorado. Pretty sure it's Denver, isn't it?
Pretty sure it's. I think that's where our tickets are sending us. So
I'm
God,
pretty
I
sure
hope
it's it.
so.
Let me confirm. Genghis Khan 2020. It's going to be at Aurora, Colorado from Thursday, February 13th to Sunday, February 16th.
You know what's fun for Valentine's Day?
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
Savage Worlds.
Savage Worlds. That's what we gonna be doing.
Yeah, so if you guys are in the area, you can still buy tickets online. I know they have special pricing with hotels and such if you want to stay over. And if you want to come and say hello to us or any of the other amazing members of the Savage Worlds community, please do. We'd love to see you. We're looking forward to meeting everybody there too.
And we're giving away some merch.
We're going to be giving away some merch, you know, some laser cut Glowforge regulator badges, some buttons.
And they're gonna smell like a campfire.
It'll be great.
I think that's all we have this week. But if I could leave us on some outtakes that I just wanted to leave in. They're normally a thing for the Patreon feed subscribers, but I'll throw a couple in here. Please enjoy.
Gonna take us out with some outtakes.
Yeah.
Seems appropriate.
Here we go. This is a little off topic. That's something I love about Ghibli movies is how, like, romantic and dreamlike their trains are. Like,
Yeah.
It just feels so cozy. It makes me feel how I imagine the Hogwarts Express feels when Harry's not being bullied by
Ghosts.
ghosts and Malfoys. And I don't know. There's just something cozy about a train.
Yeah, I agree. I wish they were more practical in this day and age.
Yeah. Well,
Barely.
in Japan,
In
they
Japan,
are.
yes. In America, no. They're still nice, but
God, I love that bit on King of the Hill when they're in Japan and they're trying to chase Cotton to the Emperor's ceremony. And Hank's like, can't this thing go any faster? And he looks at this, it's like 600 miles an hour, and he's like, huh.
I forgot about that. It's really
Like, it was just a very begrudging but, like, approving, huh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I feel like it ratatouilles through her eye.
So we get a point of view shot in front of Athena, and we zoom into Athena's pupil. And what does it rush back out? And it's that scene again. Or are you a small child? You've scraped your knee. You take a bite of this peasant dish and recapture your youth and happiness to a simpler time.
In a way. Athena's just wildly insufferable.
I don't think I love Athena. Athena is like Athena has that KO vibe. Athena just wants to be everybody's friend and come out on top and get stronger, and
She's got a headband too.
my mom is the best. I am her daughter.
Her name is Valerie.
Athena's what you would get if you crossed OKKO with Adrian Pimento.
Jesus Christ. And she has a thought that has whiffed out of my brain entirely, so I need a sec.
Sure.
What was it? I just had it.
It slipped right through my fingers. Silas rubs at his eyes. Zadal nods because he also understands feelings.
Like, in all of her brain's intention, this is just meant for this weird, sticky pit.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna say it different. Give me another go.